Check Complete, a referee podcast, is an educational resource for referees by referees, designed to connect and develop soccer officials of all ages and skill levels to better serve the game both on and off the field.
Episode 8 here for the Check Complete podcast. I am beyond thrilled to be visiting with Tyler Wyrostek from, you are from New Jersey, out east.
Correct.
Yes. So you're joining us through the wonderful world of Zoom that we've all probably gotten sick of through COVID, but here we are able to connect and have a good conversation. So first of all, Tyler, I just want to say thank you so much for your taking time to chat with us on the Check Complete podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think this has been a great thing you guys are doing. So I'm glad to be here. Yeah,
well, you're going to add a lot to it with this episode to hear from you and just hear about your journey, as well as answer a few fan questions that have come in preparation for this. So maybe before our first question is how you got started in refereeing. So you can kind of dive into that, but maybe just give us a little bit about who you are, kind of round whatever information you're willing to share, round yourself out for us so we can kind of have an idea of who you are, and then maybe just go right into how you got started as a referee.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, from a referee standpoint, I've been doing this now, I think this is my 11th year. But I mean, outside the game, I'm a software developer. That's my day job. I currently work full-time remote, so it's been great to just be home, go ref, I have a son, so kind of that work-life balance works out really well between work and refereeing. Besides that, that's pretty much all I do outside of the game. Refereeing wise, I started when I was 16, my junior year of high school. My dad kind of gave me this, he was like, you need to start working. You need to get a job. You're about to get your license. So I was very stubborn and I didn't want to do like the grocery store or McDonald's or, any of these fast food places that my friends were working at. And he came to me and he said, well, I found this referee course. It's $80 or something like that, or whatever the price was at the time. Go sit in a classroom for 2 days, take a test. If you pass, you could be making, $200 a weekend. And I was like, sure. I played the game my whole life. I played in high school, so it was a no-brainer. So I sat down, took the test, and then I was basically out there collecting a paycheck for a while. And I'm kind of this naturally competitive person. So once I found out there was grades going up, I was like, oh, I need to be a grade 7 referee, even though I had no idea what it actually meant. So the local league that I was doing, that I played in my whole life, they had this, web-based thing where you could keep track of all your games. So I just compiled all those games and threw it into a spreadsheet and sent it off to New Jersey State, the state administration, and they gave me a grade 7. But for a while, it was just me working games to get a paycheck. And then also I was just trying to reach the top level game in the local league that I was doing. I was like, okay, there's this Premier League. I want to be doing those games. I thought that was the top, you know what I meant? So for about 3 or 4 years, that's kind of what I was doing. And then the summer would come around and that local league would stop, and I would just like cold call emails, just sending out to tournament people, just like, hey, can I come to your tournament? Can I come to your tournament? One, because I needed the money. And 2 was this opportunity to kind of just like go do games elsewhere. But for like 3 or 4 years, I didn't really know refereeing outside of the local league or these tournaments that I was doing. And then like my sophomore year, like after I got upgraded to a grade 7, my sophomore year at college, I found out like the DA showcases, regionals, started doing the adult amateur games in my state, and this kind of world of soccer or refereeing just opened up. And I realized what this kind of all was. And I think that's kind of when I got like hooked. I was like, okay, I want to now go for my state. I want to just see where this kind of takes me. So that year, after I got my grade 7, I went to my first regions, and that was kind of where I kind of, started the path to, I guess, where I am now.
Yeah. Interesting. I want to double back on something that you said. You had talked about, and we talked off air before we started about the check collectors, if we want to put it that way.
Mhm.
People who are just
Yep.
there to collect a paycheck and so be it. I think one of the things we're trying to figure out in Kansas, and it's certainly not, I wouldn't think it's unique to our area, is what is it that's going to flip the switch for that person to go from just check collecting with not even referee socks and we're fighting to keep a shirt tucked in, to I want to take it to the next level, take it seriously, do it. And it doesn't, we're not saying everybody needs to make it to the MLS, but taking it seriously to really give your best for that. And so for you, that was, some of that had to do just within yourself, the innate kind of competitive nature of weight. So it came from finding out, having your kind of imagination explode a little bit to go, oh, there's grades, there's other opportunities, things like that's what it was for you. Is that kind of what flipped the switch?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, once, everyone has like those first year where reffing is kind of new to you and stuff like that. But once I started and I did take it as a job, right? I needed gas money. I wanted to go out and eat food, right? I needed money. And in order to do that and do that well, I had to take refereeing serious, in a sense where I needed to be professional, right? I needed to show up and I needed to do the games. And then once I started, diving into this a little more, just emails from my state, and I got to recertify. And in that recertify email somewhere, it said, "Oh, grade 7s, you have to do this," right? And that's kind of what unlocked it for me, to see that there was something more than just showing up on Sunday and doing the same games for the next 5 years or whatever, right? There was some path to progress and get better.
Right. Yeah, interesting. I think that's where a lot of us on an admin side and looking to help newer officials are just wondering, what is it going to take to get that person to really be invested? And I think so that's helpful to hear.
Yeah, and sometimes people don't know. And as you mentioned, sometimes people just don't care. They will show up and do the just to collect the check. But I think for the people that don't know about what else there is to offer, it's worthwhile kind of showing them, because they could be those people that decide to take that next step to start going for their regions or whatever the next step is for them.
Right. Absolutely. So speaking of next step, that would be our next question, is the pathway. So regional badge, or I guess probably state badge, right? When you were going through that state badge, and then that next step into national, and then the professional ranks. What was that journey from then on, like the state on? What did that journey look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, so when I got my state badge, going from state to national actually was quicker than going from 7 to state. I think I went 6.54 in like back-to-back years. So it was really just about, at that time I was doing more of the adult game, NPSL, PDL at the time. And I was still just really putting myself out there in terms of like DA showcases, right? Any opportunity I had to go get seen by someone outside of the state of New Jersey, I was taking that opportunity. I remember actually there was a winter showcase, and it felt like the week before finals. And I was like, I can do this. Like I can go do this showcase, like fly back in and go the next day, go take my finals. Like I will figure out studying. I was like, I need to go out there and do this. And any chance I had, I was just trying to take it, because I knew that's kind of where I needed to be from a national standpoint. I needed somebody outside the state of New Jersey to look at me and say like, okay, he's a national assistant referee. So
the question I think we're all wondering is, how did the finals go?
Some good, some bad.
That's what
I had to take chemistry 2 3 times. So I would assume one of those years I definitely failed my chemistry final. Yeah.
Third time's a charm, right?
But I don't think you can chalk it up to only refereeing as the downfall. I think it was probably lost from the start.
That's it. Yes, maybe chemistry is just not your. No judgment here. Science, math, that's not me. So that's not me at all. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So then for you, I guess speaking to those, if there's those listening that are in that now regional badge, fighting their way to the top, would you say that the key to success for you and potentially for them is just the visibility of attending those events? Is that still kind of one of the keys to success there?
I know COVID has kind of changed some things about how frequent these events are ran and stuff like that. But for me, yeah, I think it's kind of two things. I think one, the visibility, but two, just also knowing that just because you go to some of these events doesn't mean that you might get seen the way that you might be expecting to when you go to these events, right? There's a lot of games going on for these people that run these tournaments and these events. So, the eyes might not be on you on the exact moment you want. And also the games sometimes just don't have, right, something in it where it's like you can prove, you get that dog so call, right? So I think for me, the big thing is get yourself visible and just continue to work hard when you go to these events and just stay patient. Keep doing the things that, got you to the level that you're at now, and just continue to grow and learn, and then get ready for the next event. And, the hard work will pay off. Right.
Absolutely. So in that journey, did you know that the AR route was going to be your route, or was that, part of trying to figure it out?
There was a point where, I just liked being out there, right? It didn't necessarily matter to me if I had the whistle or the flag. But I kind of got to a point where I really looked at myself as a referee and an assistant referee. And I was okay as a referee, but there was something about movement and positioning and all these other things that I think I had this really big ceiling on that I maybe could have figured it out, but the assistant referee role just felt so much more natural to me. And I liked being out there and I liked, doing it. So when it came to the point where I really had to look at what's the next step, if I'm going to go for this national badge, is there going to be extra letters or, extra letters on the badge? Which way am I going? And I think assistant referee just felt more natural to me. So I just doubled down on that path.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So what in that journey and the path that you've been on, there's probably been some sort of setback or setbacks. What have those been? How have you faced them? How did you overcome them?
I think the thing for me is I've always been so eager to get to that next level, right? I think in my head, I'm always okay, I'm ready for this level game. And either that level game comes or even a game below it. And, you have some setback, you have a bad game or you make a bad decision. And it kind of just makes you realize maybe you're not actually there yet. And sometimes I think those were important because it made me realize that I needed to kind of just slow down and be patient with this, kind of make sure that I'm not rushing. You don't need to rush straight, try to get to the top as quick as possible, right? Develop all the skills, get the experience, as you go through things. So there was a lot of times where I think I was I'm so ready for this game, and then the game comes and it doesn't go the way that I imagined, right? And you kind of just have to overcome that and get ready for the next game. Right.
Yeah, that pedal to the metal, the passion there, but kind of pulling that back. Absolutely. That makes sense. That makes sense. I think we see a lot of that with brand new folks, and you hope that the setbacks don't become a get out. They see it as a way to get out. No, that's part of the learning process.
Yeah. There's really nothing, you can't replace experience, right? You got to do the reps sometimes, and that's going to help you a lot. That's going to help you a lot in your career later on.
Right. Absolutely. So cool or memorable experiences that you've had. I know you probably got to be careful mentioning specific things since you're you're on the kind of the front end of your MLS career, right? How long have you been actually in doing MLS games?
This is my first year, actually. So
is it? Okay.
Year in the league. Yep.
So when you were you mentioned you were in Kansas City last year, and I think I was at that game. Surprised you didn't see me out of the 20,000 people here. But no, I think I was at that game. How early into your career was that? That was like your second or third?
That actually might have been 5.
Okay.
That's my fifth. I think my fifth or sixth. Yeah. But yeah, still early. Right now I'm at 15 or 16. So in the grand scheme of things, it's still very early in my
MLS
absolutely.
career. with a ton of, so I would hope that no statements made on the Check Complete podcast would slow down your very long. So with that in mind, what are, what cool or memorable experiences have you had along your journey?
I think the one memorable one, and I think we kind of talked about how this community becomes very tight knit, like the longer you're in it and stuff like that. The first President's Cup I went to, it was 4 of us that went. So we take one car up, one small delegation from New Jersey. We're in these dorm rooms together, and just like the 4 of us driving from New Jersey to Western PA, staying in the dorm rooms together, just a really cool bonding experience. Like, these are guys that I kind of knew, right? I'd ref maybe a handful of games. I saw them at tournaments or classes or whatever research. And I got to spend this weekend with them and go do games. And it was just like, those 3 guys are still people that I talk to today. They're good friends, right? So it was just like this memorable experience of going to this event. And I couldn't tell you how I did at the event, but I do know, like, after that, I became really good friends with these 3 guys. So I think that was just a cool experience because it became a little bit more than just reffing. You know what I mean? It turned into stuff outside of soccer. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love to hear that. I think that's one thing that we talk about at length in our area is realizing that what we're doing is bigger than just a game. So I think that's really a beautiful story. Well, I mentioned this. We did have a few questions from fans, so we'll jump into these real quick, and then we'll wrap up the interview with a final question. We had one gentleman that wrote in through Instagram and said, how do you make sure you keep your position with the offside line while also looking at the ball when it's on your touch line? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, assistant referees, we kind of have to juggle a couple things that we need to look at. Second to last opponent is, our number one priority, but sometimes there's things happening to our left or behind the referee's back that we kind of need to, make sure we see or at least able to help out on. I think the best piece of advice I can give is just don't stare at one location too long. Kind of always keep your head on a swivel. That's something kind of we're talking about a lot now. So, be able to just move your head, find where that second last opponent is, and then, move your eyes back to the ball to be able to help out the assistant referee with whatever is going on over there, ball out, right, foul, whatever. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another question that came in was, what is the best practice, or what are best practices as an assistant referee to elevate your performance?
So, I mean, besides what I just mentioned, because I think that's an important skill to have. I think just like being able to, I think being able to swivel is probably the one of the things I would say. But I'm trying to think if I could find something else past that. I think something maybe on a lower level is just really stay away from kind of this ball watching. I think I see something when I go out to the fields, I see that a lot. There are a lot of times where you kind of get caught up on what's going on in the game, or, and then you turn back and you're not looking, you're way far off past the second last opponent. And I think it's very easy to kind of just get sidetracked and lose focus with the second last opponent. But as assistant referees, it's kind of our main job and what we need to focus on.
Well, I think the weekend warriors run into that. When you're 4 games deep on a Saturday, that's a very important reminder. It seems rudimentary and basic, but staying locked in and focused in that, I think that's huge. I think that's huge. Yeah, absolutely. So this question, so that one was from Tyler. I feel terrible. I don't remember the gentleman that asked that first question. But then Corey from Wisconsin had asked, when negating offside due to a deliberate play on the ball by the defender, how do you discuss that in a pregame? So he goes on to explain, I've seen instances where the AR will flag the offside offense just to be put down by the referee, leaving them out of position for any help going forward to goal or other potential offenses. So he asked me, does that make sense? I said it makes sense. Tyler, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I think he gets the first part kind of down. You need to talk about this in your pregame. It needs to be something that you discuss before you get out on the field, because once you're out there, you know what I mean? If you're not on the same page, it's definitely going to be awkward. So I think in the pregame, I think it's important that if the situation is not brought up, first thing is you just ask, right? How do you want to handle this situation? And I think ideally there would be some type of cue. I'm going to assume that they don't have comms on, right? There needs to be some kind of cue to the assistant referee that there was maybe a deliberate touch, or not maybe, that there was a deliberate touch. And then that should give you hopefully some indication. But if that doesn't happen, I think he's spot on, right? Put the flag up. And then if the referee waves you down, you just have to work hard to get back into the right position. It's a very awkward feeling to be standing still and the play's still going on, and then all of a sudden you're far off, but you just have to get ready for the next decision to be made. But talk about it in your pregame. Talk about it as soon as you possibly can. And if it's not talked about, ask the question about how to handle these situations. Ask if the referee is going to give you some type of cue in these kind of like awkward, situations where you're unsure. And then ask them what to do if you are unsure, how to handle that if the ball ends up in the back of the net, right? Go through all of these kind of questions that you might have around these situations before you get out on the field. Yeah,
that's very good. Very, very good. So I have a question that I did not tell you in advance, but that I've just been thinking about. So this may be a D-bag move for me to just throw this at you. So we'll see what happens. But so, fairly new into the MLS scene, working with a lot of, I know a lot of people aren't ref nerds like me, but I love to see who's working where, and then I watch games accordingly. I love watching this referee crew work, that kind of thing. So there's big personalities and people that have been in the league for a long time as assistant referees and referees, not to mention players and coaches, but I mean, just the crews that you're working with. Was there a level of intimidation stepping on the field, knowing like I'm going to be Jair Marufo's AR today, or, I don't know who that is, but was that, when you made it to that level, was there a level of intimidation? Was there the learning curve? What all was that like for you?
Yeah, I don't know if intimidation is exactly the right word, but there is like some type of, added nerves or something. There's something there where, for me at least, if you're working with someone who has, so much experience, right? I at least want to be able to live up to their expectation of an assistant referee, right? And I know I'm not a guy who's done 200 games like Corey Rockwell, but I would like to, try to provide that assistance to that referee. So there is kind of something, but there's also there's so much experience from these guys that I can take away from what they want. There's so much, and other assistant referees too. So while it is a little bit of nerves and stuff like that, a little bit of a learning curve to be able to try to be the assistant referee that they're kind of expecting. And a lot of this is kind of in my own head about what I'm trying to accomplish out there. There's also a lot of really good feedback and information that I get to pick up, as I do these games with some very experienced officials.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Well, our final question, sort of, is if you could go back and tell the younger, brand new version of Tyler getting ready to referee because your dad said you should and you need to pay for McDonald's or whatever, your kale, I don't know, whatever you're eating to look fit like you are today. But so if you could tell the brand new Tyler referee some sort of advice, what would that be?
Just be patient. I remember spending so much time and kind of just I just wanted my state badge so bad, right? I wanted to get to the next level so bad. I think just be patient. If you continue to work hard, if you continue to kind of, if you go out onto the field and you give it your all, and you go to these events and you give it your all, if it comes, you worked hard for it. And if it doesn't, that you gave it your all. You did everything you could, right? Don't try to rush the process to try to get there. Just take your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Well, Tyler, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate your time. If listeners, if you're watching or listening to this and something resonated with you, or you have a follow-up question for Tyler, we have ways to get you connected. So if you have some, just reach out to us. You can email questions@checkcompletepodcast.com or contact us through the direct message. Slide into our DMs, I guess, as the kids say, and we can get you connected to, I can reach out to Tyler and get you guys connected. We've had that with some of our other guests. And so if you've got something that really clicked or something that you feel like, hey, I'd really love to learn more about this, we can try to make that happen. So Tyler, thanks for your time. I always say this to all of our guests, but is there anything that if you don't get to say it, you're not going to be able to sleep tonight? Is there anything that's in that category for you?
Oh man, I don't think so. I mean, just thanks for having me on. Like I said, I think what you guys are doing is great. So I'm glad I could help out. And as you said, if anyone has anything, reach out to me. I'm glad to give assistance or feedback or anything. So.
Awesome. Very good. You're the man, sir. Thank you so much for your time. And we appreciate you.